Okay. Hello everyone. Welcome to another edition in our interview series, where we speak with companies who have hired bootcamp grads, specifically called Chrysalis bootcamp grads, in the last couple of years. My name is Buki. I am your co-host. And Paul.
Hi, I'm Paul Roberts. I'm a Tokyo-based IT recruiter.
Yes, and today we have Yu Shimizu HR from Peatix, who will be here to share a little bit of her insights or observations hiring software developers in the Tokyo market. Okay, Yu, can you please tell us a little bit about yourself
Sure.
and about Peatix?
Okay. Well, first of all, thank you so much to have me here. Very incredible opportunities, and I'm very excited to speak about my experience, your experience, and our experience together. My name is Yu, and I'm a head of HR at Peatix. As mentioned, I have been working with Peatix about 4 years. I joined in the company back in 2020. And prior to joining to Peatix, I was at Twitter Japan, working also in the HR department, about 6.5, 7 years ish. So yes.
Yeah, good. Thank you for that, Yu. Good to have you here. Can you tell us a little bit about Peatix for those who don't know much about Peatix?
Yes. So Peatix is a global event discovery ticketing platform, meaning that we do provide a platform for event organizers and event participants. So event organizers can come to a platform and then post their event, what's happening in the community, and then our users or event participants can come to our platform to find and discover the exciting events, what's happening around them. So we want to help engage the community activities. Our mission is, sorry, I have to cheat here because I don't want to forget or I don't want to make a mistake, but our mission is, so PTX helps creators and organizers build communities through shared experience. PTX was built back in 2011, and then the service itself was launched in Japan. But we always wanted to expand our market, so we moved our headquarters to the United States. So currently, our headquarters is in New York. We have offices in Tokyo, Malaysia, and Singapore. We have 840 million user database.
Wow.
Mainly, Japan is the main market, but
Wow,
we help peeps to meet or people to meet, create communities, and more.
that's a huge database of users. And what does the engineering team look like at Peatix? I know they're kind of spread out across the world.
Yes, yes. Our sorry. By the way, if I tell peeps, that means people, and I didn't want
You're
to
good.
keep calling people like my people, our people. So we just, as a company wide, we chose to go by peeps. So when I say peeps, that's employees and our members at PTX. So having said that, PTX is currently we have almost 100 peeps around the world. And although, like I mentioned, our offices are located in 4 locations, we support remote working. So we have peeps working really all over the world. I think currently we have 8 countries and plus 8 plus different time zones, with in 100 peeps 30%, so about 30 peeps are belong to engineering uh, department or team. That includes front end, back end, native applications, and platform engineers. Also the quality assurance, we call it cat team. um, on top of that, we also have a product design team and product management team. So I don't know if that shows. And then all of our engineers, lucky for them that they can work anywhere in the world. So we have engineers working from Japan, America, Canada, UK, Philippines, and Australia. Really everywhere.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow, yeah. Because Peatix hired one of our graduates, I believe it was in 2022,
Yes.
and it's interesting because the introduction was made from Japan. The graduate was in the States at the time, and then they moved to Japan last year.
Yes, he did.
Yeah. Wow. So can you tell us a little bit about, because we're here talking about, boot camp graduates or mid-career changers, making the transition to software engineer. What are your general thoughts about, boot camp graduates, either from your observations at PTIX or just in general?
Um, I think it might be helpful to actually mention that I myself is a mid what that called mid career changers. So
Yeah.
before working at IT industry, my educational background is in social work. So I was a social worker back in the United States, and then moved back to home, and I started my career as HR really
Mm.
truly with Twitter uh, almost 10 years ago. So I my personal opinion that happens, right? The long
Mm,
you have to work long time, so your interests change,
Mm.
passion changes, and then I think
mm,
it's a natural course of action that happens. And I'll be more amazed if somebody is working in a one field for many years, more traditional way of thinking about career.
Mm.
So
mm,
my background itself, as well as I'm changing the company in the middle of my career, so it does happen, and then I want to say that first. And so I think that PTEX or IT industry or in general, we have a background of understanding of changing career, changing roles.
mm,
Not too surprising, but I also know that it's slowly starting here in Japan. So it's
mm,
very interesting to see the change, and then how PTIX and then as an HR person can support this, I guess, the social theme, a social movement.
Mm.
mm, mm. It's interesting, and because now I'm curious to hear what was your experience like coming back to Japan and trying to transition into HR. What was that like for you?
To be honest, I don't know how this happened, why this happened. So I don't know. I don't have a great story to share, but I was, working, or I was studying, working in the United States for 10 years, and it's almost a decade. And I wanted to come home to see what's like in Japan. So at that moment, I actually completely stopped working and then came back. After being 10 years in a one location, coming back and changing the country of residence is a huge movement. So I wanted
Mm.
to
Mm,
take a break. So I came back. I literally didn't work for about a year, but I can't say that aloud. But and then I when I mean, looking back, when I was looking for my new opportunity, it was really not so much of the title or role. It's just like my passion to stay
Mm.
connected,
mm,
helping people, and I guess that working with people and then using my skills at that time, it was more of English and Japanese communities. So I think,
mm,
of course, I created my resume, but one thing I was looking for was to how I can make a contribution to this company I will be working for. I actually started my career at Twitter as a hacken, the contractor, and
mm,
that
mm,
led to next, and then that led to next, and then
Mm.
after 7 years, I graduated the company, and then To be honest, I was gonna take another break, but then they didn't let me. They mean the higher power didn't let me, so I had to keep working, and that's where I met, Peeps Twitter, right?
Mm,
And
mm,
they asked me, and then, well, back then we didn't have HR personnel in the company, so they wanted me to build a company. I'm sorry, they did. They wanted me to build HR function, and here I
Mm.
am 4
mm,
years. So receiving, a lots of resume, because I was the only one HR back then, and I have to build the company. When I joined Peatix, it was about 40 plus of size of company. Now, like I said, it's 100, almost 100 peeps. Uh, sorry, Peatix. So really, for the past 2.5 years, we grow out the size. We doubled the
Mm.
size of the company. I guess that my point is, along the coast, we open up a lot of um, headcount or positions open. We hire a lot of new peeps, um, including software engineers and many, many other roles. So I had to go through a lot of resume screening, interviews, and stuff like that. But I guess that what I was looking for in the resume is more of like how passionate about, their, I guess, skill set to know what they
mm,
want to do. Before
mm,
this interview started, I was just talking to Paul and Becky that how PTIC's engineering role doesn't necessarily specify the years of experience in their
Right.
mm,
descriptions,
mm,
because we don't want to miss out the passions and contributions or commitment that any candidates can make to our company, make life
mm,
nice to work. I don't
mm,
know, it's
mm.
it's a long story, but I try to
No,
not
no.
to focus myself. It's more of the company, and I don't like it.
No, no, not at all. You make a very, it's about the company, but we're also speaking with you, right? And this is to hear your, your observations and your experience as well. You talked about, looking for your passion. And I feel like I feel like sometimes it can be challenging for people to communicate that passion on a resume. Now, do you look at cover letters? And if not, how do you find or identify this passion on the resume?
Okay, so to be honest, first screening, some of the screening I do that, but for engineering role, I ask them, the engineers, to do the first screening because I am not an engineer. So when I look at the resume, I don't really know the skill set that is written in the resume. So I think, yes, I can, from HR perspective, I can talk about passion, but it's really hard to see the passion in the resume. I mean, I can sometimes, like, we can see it, but it's really, we are passing a lots of resume. So I think that it's important for candidates to illustrate and make sure that your skill sets are all covered in the
Mm.
Mm,
resume.
Passing them to the engineers. What kind of feedback do you get from the engineers on resumes, for example, especially from junior candidates? Um, do you find people are customizing their applications well for the jobs they're applying to, or are you maybe kind of getting generic resumes that don't really kind of connect with what PTIX is looking for?
Can I go back a little bit? Before I pass the resume, I mean, they can see the hiring team can see the resume. I think what we're looking for, first of all, is like how, not like well written, but like how clean it looks like. You pay attention to details.
Mm.
Like the same font, same line changes. Why we do that? Because when it in the actual job world, we need somebody paying attention. So if they can't, I mean, resume is a huge. work, right? Like applying to the new job, and that this is literally the only impression or the
Right.
tool that initially they have. So I assume people are spending a lot of time reviewing and writing it and editing it. But if they have not so much a misspelling, because I do misspell myself, but it's more like how much detail they are paying attention to create and showcase
Right.
their personality and the work and skill. That's like first thing.
Mm,
It also shows that this resume is for somebody to read it. It's not for you to read it. So do this person have a perspective of this resume will be seeing or showing to somebody, and then somebody, you know, that other side is
right.
reviewing. So I think oftentimes, I don't know, Paul, you can probably add more points, but those can be um, told. I mean, it can be seen by looking at
Mm,
resume. So, you know,
Yeah,
I do that and then pass to engineering,
right.
for engineering
yeah,
resume, and then they will probably look more on skill set.
yeah. I couldn't agree more to that point of like having a clean resume. Because for me, what I tell students or graduates is, you know, the way you've written your resume, like I said, minus a grammatical error or spelling error, the way you've written your resume tells a lot about potentially how you write code. And if your resume is not, as a developer, indentation, like your variable names, everything plays a role. Also design if you're looking at front end development. And so if your resume is messy, and you're using multiple font sizes, multiple fonts in one resume, then what can the employer expect when you actually start coding? So I think many people miss that, but it
Mm,
plays such a vital role in whether your resume actually passes the first screening
Yes.
stage before they even look at how well you can code.
yeah. Yeah. It's also showcasing your ability to communicate. I think I see resumes, 10, 15 pages long that could be, summarized down to a couple of pages. So the communication style, a kind of clean, clear communication, um, showing what you've done, but those, your achievements, transferable skills, and other things as well. So yeah, resumes are not perfect, but at the moment, that's the most common way of introducing yourself to a new company. So
Mhm.
I think,
Yeah.
and I think there's a lot of resources also on how to do it well. So it should be something that I think most people can get a grip on, or get someone to check, have someone else to have a look through as well.
Yeah,
Mm,
yeah. I really
okay.
like that you brought the point of communication. So I am not an engineer. I'm an HR person, and then looking at through the engineering resume, engineer's resume, and as I'm in the interview process as well. So I want to learn, um, what we do, like our engineering team do, and then oftentimes those are the questions that I want to make sure that I can answer some basic questions. And I literally started with like differences of codes, languages, and then when I was asking one of our senior engineers, like, what's the difference between this language and that language, and then how can you tell what's the difference, and then he actually told me, think this as a our engineers way of communicating.
Mm,
Of course, I'm not going to be able to read the code, but he said, Yusan, this is our way of communicating. By reading it, went through that, we can actually tell their thinking process, what they want to communicate it.
mm,
And then that's, engineer does carry on their work. And then I thought that was very, very simple way of explaining to a non-engineer like me, but it made so much sense because when you're working at a company, and then we do actually look into this communication skill. throughout the interview, even in a code test,
Mm.
you have to communicate with people, right? Like you cannot work alone. Stuff cannot be done alone. So it's like you have to just always know that you are communicating with somebody. And then I think, resume, now that we talk about this, resume is one of the way to communicate um,
Mm,
the message.
Mm.
mm, yeah. Do you look at cover letters? How much role do you think cover letter play?
I actually, can I be honest? I
Yeah.
If there is
Absolutely.
a cover letters, I will read it. I will do a glance to take a look at it. But if now it's chat GPT and then AIs, and then they can do a fancy things, and then they can say that I'm so interested in this position, I'm so interested at Peatix, and then it's pretty much that line, and then
Mm,
I would probably write the same. I'll be honest. Like, I'm interested in
yeah.
this
Yeah.
role, I'm interested in this position for
Mm,
Peatix. So I think I'm more looking into resume itself,
mm, mm.
and
Yeah.
also,
I mean,
I mean, if when you do write a cover letter, please be careful that the company you're addressing to, at least write a cover letter after you read the job descriptions. Sometimes adding cover letter can work
It's
negative
worse.
against you.
impact.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because immediately, if your company name's wrong, your passion direction is wrong, or job descriptions, it's like,
Mm. Role
I mean,
titles.
yes,
Yeah.
well,
Yeah.
same as you, right? You can tell that this person
Yeah.
is probably sending the same cover letters to many, many companies.
Everybody.
So I personally don't want to take the risk. So I eliminate the cover letters sometimes.
Hmm. Okay. Yeah, no, honesty is great. I mean, what I tell the students is, not everybody reads a cover letter, but if you can, you should add it because, for not everybody understands the potential value add a career changer might have. And some
Mm.
people, when they see the resume, it's like, okay, this person doesn't have any, professional experience as a software engineer in the company. So therefore their resume is out of the pool. And sometimes a well written cover letter, emphasis on the well-written cover letter, can help kind of break that, cross that barrier. But completely agree, a cover letter can make or break um, whether or not you move on in the process.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah. Yeah. Um, in terms of, um, let's move the conversation a little bit to, looking at actually, from the HR perspectives, cost of hiring, or also, from what Paul mentioned earlier before we started, looking at it from the talent development perspective, the impact of hiring, software, bootcamp graduates or midlife career changes versus fresh out of the university graduates. What are your observations and thoughts on those?
Um, so from cost perspective, um, I'm a bad HR person. Maybe I don't look at the cost that often. I should.
Yay.
By the way, we're not that rich or not a great company. I say that. Um, but let's be honest. The budget does exist, right?
Right.
Plus or minus, it does exist, and that's how the company run the business.
Mhm.
Um, I don't know. I mean, I think that it's more of like how urgently you need this position to be filled. I mean, every company want to fill this position ASAP.
Right.
But when you talk about cost, it's a different perspective. Is this like a budget, like actual money cost, or is this like onboarding or training, or like 2 3 years later, like are we looking at the future investment? That's also a company cost, right?
Mm.
So I
Mhm.
think it's a
Mhm.
different way of looking at the cost.
Mm.
Generally speaking, I think all the hiring cost, I mean, I have to go to resume screening, writing a job description, interview, and it's a lot of investment, investing our
Mm.
time.
Yeah.
But really, truly, that what can we get out of it? I mean, if we're gonna
Mm.
hire one person, I really want this person to, stay, grow within the company, not this like person quitting like every 3 4 months that we have to do the
Mm.
same interview or hiring process.
Yeah.
So it
Mm.
really is a short term cost versus long term cost, and
Mm.
how you want to look at it. But I
Mm.
also would like to mention that, let's say 4 years ago when I joined to Peatix, are we ready to hire junior engineer? Probably not, because
Mm.
we were about 6 8 less than 10 engineering organization, and
Mm.
when fast growing pace, I mean, we're still growing, but at that moment we probably couldn't have junior engineer joining so that we
Mm.
can train them. But
Mm.
Right.
now the side of the team has grown, team has more specific definition of responsibilities.
Mhm.
Really, we had the boot camp graduate back in 2022. That was when we were hiring a lot of engineers, we were forming
Mm.
team, and we can afford all the costs, like short term,
Mm.
mid-term, long-term cost, and then that will work for beneficial for the candidate as well, because we don't
Mm.
want to hire
Mm.
somebody and we're not going to be able to train them, right?
Right.
Mm.
That happens.
Definitely.
So
Definitely.
I really think this is a two-way
Mm.
process. Um,
Mm.
as much as candidates are ready to join, I think company needs to be also ready to welcome them.
Mm. Definitely. You are definitely agree the company needs generally impacts like how much the company can um do in terms of hiring a quote unquote junior versus a more established developer. But if in a situation where a company is looking to hire has the room to take on the responsibility of hiring a junior developer, what do you see as the potential long term impact?
Oh, it's be incredible because like they're first of all they're willing to learn the skill, right?
Mm.
So like
Mm,
they join, they're so excited, willing to learn a new code and process of the organization, and in a sense that that's everything for them. So if we
mm,
can guide them in the proper way, they will be a huge asset to the company, because
mm,
they after they graduate the boot camp, I'm sure they have a basic skill ready set ready basic
mm,
skill set ready, and on top of that they are willing to learn, follow the
mm.
directions and guidance, and in the long run they are the one who's going to lead the team, right? The PTX
Mhm,
development. So I think that's impact is very high.
I think it's very interesting that you kind of needed to get to a certain size of engineering team where you had the space to bring in junior people and give them the attention that they need to get up to speed. And so I think sometimes, companies are very small, maybe they don't have so much money, they're hiring people to kind of fill seats, then it's very difficult for the person to get on board, get up to speed. It's a bad experience for both
yeah,
sides. And then it's like, well, it kind of gets blamed on being, don't hire junior people. You've got to have
yeah,
put the thought into your organizing your environment to make it successful from both sides.
definitely. Yeah, onboarding plays a huge role, but for onboarding to be successful for junior developers, the company has to be ready to actually support the
Mm.
junior developer, which not every company is ready for.
Do you have any special? Sorry, my dog is barking in the background. Do you have any
No.
special um, sort of onboarding for junior people in terms of like a Kohai system or something like that?
Um, we don't specify the onboarding process only for junior people, but we do have a set of onboarding program they go through. And
Mm.
then that's coming from my experience. Again, when I joined, the day before I joined, I received a laptop, and here you go. And then there was no introduction of the company. There's no introduction of the programs or yeah, like our products and it. So I have been building this onboarding package or Peeps handbook, what we call,
Mm.
and then show the history of the company, product of the company, unspoken rules and what to
Mm.
do at least when new hire joins to Peatix, there are something to read, something to gain knowledge that usually lasts 30 days. So at least we have reading to do. And then reading works for Peatix, our environment, because
Mm.
sometimes onboarding happen everywhere in a different time zone.
Right.
So
Yeah.
managers
Mm,
in Japan, but new hires are starting in the US, let's say, and then
mm,
there's to do on Monday morning for new hires and vice versa. So we try to write things down in the handbook type of thing so that they
mm,
can go through setting ups, readings, and then
mm,
um, very first day they will be meeting with the hiring managers, and in first 30 days they're probably catching up and connecting with the teammate. That's our
mm,
expectation. And after 30 days, so like 3 4 weeks they started, we have what does that called, new hire orientation. So every team has a 30 to 45 sessions and then
Mm.
talks
mm,
about each team, each department, what they do,
mm,
that the
mm,
hires can go through that training. And as
mm,
HR, I try to group the start.
mm,
Environment, people, like we want people ASAP. So,
mm,
oftentimes every Monday we have new hires, and then everybody
mm,
timing and start. I think that our hiring managers and business are very, very understanding that from HR, it costs a lot because each person coming into the different date and different month is
mm,
kind of tough to manage. So they
Right.
mm,
consolidate the new start date as much as possible. Of course, I know the
mm,
business, so I wouldn't delay like 2 months, 3 months time,
mm,
but try to consolidate the new start date so that the new peeps can also build their own community, the group,
mm,
like this month start, and then they
Right.
can
mm,
learn together. If they have questions, they can support each other. So I think those are little things that we try to do, but not specifically for junior members.
mm,
I think they all need to go through that set of
Right.
mm,
process.
mm, mm,
I think the breaking the barrier of our side is
mm.
maybe a challenge,
Okay.
because oftentimes like they have a stigma of like new grad boot camp graduate.
Mm,
Oh, they don't have experience. I don't think that's true, but that's a lot of our side, the company side, maybe thinking about it. So
mm,
breaking the barrier can be a one challenge, which I didn't encounter this challenge at Peatix, but
mm,
that could be a challenge that I can think of from HR perspective.
mm,
Onboarding, as much as we try to systematize, it is true that we need special care for them. So
mm,
it's not like here is the job, here's a laptop, you do it. It's a step. So again, this is like our end that don't
Mm,
make sure that we have a process to start. Don't expect 120 at one time. I think we need to start 50. That's fine. 80,
mm,
120. It's a process.
mm,
That could be a challenge, but don't miss the sign they're struggling.
mm,
Um, yeah, I don't know. I would love to hear our peeps the challenges that when they're
mm,
going through the onboarding process. But I guess that every hire is different. So
mm,
I think how much we can notice the change, but try to make sure uniting or including into the process of family is
mm,
something that we can't forget to do.
mm, mm. It's interesting, how you brought it back to, the challenge is not in the hiring of the bootcamp grad itself, but the challenge is more, the perception of the company itself when it comes to hiring, bootcamp grads and the expectations or managing expectations that it is okay for someone to come in at 50% and it's up to the company now to help them get to 100%, which also connects to making sure as a company to have the right onboarding process to actually hire. And I don't imagine this only applies to bootcamp graduates, but just to onboarding new employees in general.
Yeah. And then also,
Mm,
I want to say that it's I don't know if it's a challenge, but for those who are starting a new job or new boot camp graduate, don't hesitate to ask, raise
mm,
hand, especially Peatix. We are supporting, remote working environment. It's so hard. I mean, for me to see where they're stuck, where they're
mm,
struggling. We are working in a different time zones and a different project maybe. Don't wait too long.
mm,
I don't know if it's a challenge or not. I don't think this can be called a challenge, but it's a message from my perspective.
Yeah.
It's
mm,
like if you're stuck, I mean, of course, you're starting a new job in a new environment. There are lots of questions, and I understand that. I don't
mm,
want people to stuck at where they are, not getting the help they need, the answer they
mm,
need to carry on the job. So I really
mm,
would like for, I mean, new hires to raise hand. Um, I want to hear their
mm,
voice. Um,
mm,
and then that actually helps to improve our onboarding process because,
mm,
we want to create this together. We're working at this company together. So it's really hard if they don't raise hand
mm.
for us to
Yeah, and
know.
I think it's an important message because many people join companies thinking, "Oh my God, I have to be perfect. I cannot ask too many questions." So I think it's a very important message. I have a follow-up question on that, but I don't know if Paul wants to, add or say anything in
No,
regards to
no,
that.
no.
Yeah.
That was
Okay.
perfect. I think that the point of being able to um, ask for help, but also I think that the hiring managers or line managers need to um, make the atmosphere that people are happy to ask or don't feel comfortable to ask for help when they need it.
Mm,
Because if not, then you end up sort of everyone's going off in the different directions, and it doesn't work well.
Yeah.
mm, yeah. Now, so you mentioned, the challenge being, from the company's perspective of, being ready to actually onboard or hire a bootcamp graduate. For a potential bootcamp graduate looking to, apply or when they are job hunting, is there something they can do on their side, to help maybe increase the chances with companies actually considering them or opening up the doors for companies to feel comfortable or to get them to understand the value they can bring to a company. I feel like it might be hard, but just curious.
Hmm. I think, and then this goes to myself, but before you apply or look for a job, ask what you're looking for. Like,
Mm,
sometimes people are so focused looking for a job or having a job, but really truly, why do you want to work for this role? Why, what you want to do? And, um, you know, don't rush too much, but connect the passion. And sometimes the chances lies not only on the website or company website, sometimes
mm,
in the community you go out, referrals. I think that the two companies I've worked with, hiring, I think referral is like a strong chance of getting into the door.
mm,
So don't shut down the chances. Like sometimes I'm open to do a casual chat. And then when I
mm,
do a casual chat, I tell them, I don't think you're passionate, we can help your passion at this Peatix. And I don't know if it's a good thing or bad thing, but I'm at least try to be honest. So try
mm,
not to be, try to be who you are, self. And you
mm,
don't have to pretend somebody who you are not. So
mm,
I think this looking for self reflection, and if you know what you want, then start knocking the door. Um,
mm,
can be a start point. I don't know.
mm. No, I think that's a powerful point because when people are job hunting, they're job hunting. They're hunting
Right.
for anything they can catch. But if you're not focused on what you're hunting, and you're not dedicated to what it is you're looking for, even the prey can smell the rat. If I want to use that hunting analogy, the companies can tell when you're just looking for anything and everything. And so it's like for the company's perspective, it's like why us? Why this field? So I think your point of understanding what you as a job seeker is looking for when you are applying these companies is an important start.
And can I add one more point? But now that I'm
Yeah, of
talking,
course.
I realize like how you end the interview process can also be important.
Mm.
I mean, people tend to like, why not me? From the company
Mm,
perspective, it's just not this position, not this
mm,
timing. It wasn't the right
mm,
fit at this moment, but that could change, any minute.
Mm.
mm,
Especially IT startup company like us, the hiring needs changes every month or every quarter. So
mm,
maybe we chose one candidate over you. That
mm,
doesn't mean that the end result is everything. When I say I will keep your resume, be in touch, means really be in touch. It wasn't, the position match, passion match didn't happen that time, but it may.
mm,
From my recruiting process, there were a couple candidates I actually contacted back and said, "Hey, we have a new position open. It's really maybe for you." And sometimes they're
mm,
available to talk. Sometimes they've already find a job. So I think that you know everything is a timing, and
Yeah,
then when we say no, that doesn't mean no to everything you.
mm, mm,
forever.
Yeah.
mm. Yeah, definitely. And I've seen that happen. I mean, my time at CC, I've seen that happen twice. Actually, one most recently where the person applied to this company twice. It was a no both times, but the company actually ended up reaching out to the person quite recently with an offer. They didn't even have to apply again. It was just, hey, we have this position open. Are you interested? Yes, here's the offer. Whereas the other case, the person waited for about a year. They got to final. The company went with another person. A year later, they contacted the person again, and the person now works at this company. So I think, yeah, the way you end an interview is very important, which not many people think of. Yeah. Yeah. Do you have any final, final thoughts or any final gems to offer, the viewers, for companies, for potential candidates, as we round up our session today?
It's nothing related to Peatix or my career, but I am a stronger believer for things happen for reasons.
Hmm.
So I think that things do happen for reasons. So good luck to you, good luck to us, good luck to everybody. And I believe that HR personnel, there are things that we can do, and I would
Hmm.
love to make a commitment that, how we can make the changes. And if anything, I would love to, uh, I don't know, I would love to do that. So yeah, good luck.
Fantastic.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. That's a great way to close the session. No, thank you very much for coming to share your insights. I don't know, Paul, if you have did you have anything to add? It looked like you want to say something.
I was just going to say thank you again. I think there's some really great insights again from the HR perspective as well. So um, I think there are some gems that can help both the job hunters, the bootcamp grads, and also companies thinking about hiring too. So thank you.
Mm. Yeah, yeah. Thank you. Thank you very much, you, for making the time. Thank you to the audience. Thank you for sticking with us for this long, and hope you made it to the end of the session. And we will see you in the next one. Feel free to comment, on LinkedIn, share with your network, and also feel free to reach out to any of us, if it's okay for them to reach out to you, maybe to learn more about you or PTEX. And yeah, we will see you in the next one.
Thank you.